Hi, welcome to Kremés podcast.
Podcast yang paling receh and garing, but maybe informative too, depending on the day.
I'm T.
And I'm A,
Semoga podcast ini bisa nemenin lo.
and hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello Kremés fam, we're back. I'm T and I've got A with me as usual. We have been doing, we started doing our Q&A episode last week, collecting a lot of your amazing questions and comments and suggestions through our social media platforms. And we thought we'll just continue with part 2 karena kalian kirimin banyak pertanyaan that we can't just fit everything into one episode. So without further ado, we'll just, continue where we left off. Hey, A. So what are your thoughts on the questions so far?
To be honest, I think gue happy banget sih kalian pertanyaannya itu sesuatu yang interesting banget, gak cuman, dan juga kayak it feels so good soalnya kalian juga pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang kalian kasih itu kind of also show that you guys listen to our podcast, karena kalian nanya juga tentang episode pertama kita lah, ada juga beberapa yang nanya tentang cara bikin podcast. It just feel really nice that it's related to us and it's not just any random questions as well. But at the same time, I'm just glad that thank you so much that I know that our community is still really small, but you guys have been participating and you guys been following us and supporting us, so it's just been really great to have this response.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's like we obviously A dan gua kayak kalau pas pertama kali kita start this whole thing, we didn't really anticipate nor do we exactly want a huge following. It's more so because obviously, especially a lot of the talks that we bring up, especially the curhatan episodes, they are quite personal, so we don't necessarily need or expect to have a huge audience listening to all our personal stories. But I think it's great that we have a small but very intimate and very close community of listeners who are really fitting our target audience. So it's really great that we're able to connect with you guys across Australia, but also di Indo atau di luar negeri yang lain. And yeah, no, it's been great. So we really appreciate it. So anyway, on with the show, on with the questions. So part 2A, banyakan pertanyaannya lebih ke lebih ke experience kita di uni, tapi juga experience belajar di Aussie sebagai orang Indo, tapi juga kayak warga asing, tapi juga warga Aussie gitu ya. As well as a couple of more podcasty related questions. So maybe before we get into the podcasty stuff, because we did talk a lot about that in part 1, we'll move on to the more general life experience questions first. So, expectations versus reality of being an Indonesian student in Australia. What are your thoughts?
Kalau buat gue sih kita bisa ngomongin surface things ya, atau kita bisa ngomongin deep things kind of thing, you know, kayak technically for surface things, mungkin kalau misalnya kalian yang expect untuk di Australia kan pasti ekspektasinya tuh kayak nonton-nonton di movie gitu kan, kayak baju bebas lah, terus kayak setiap hari bisa kayak party gitu-gitu. Cuman kayak not gonna lie, that's just an expectation, karena di sini juga tetap aja pakai seragam sekolah, tetap aja sekolah, maksudnya kayak tes, ujian, semua tetap ada, kelas tetap ada. Dan juga kayak party sebenarnya waktu dulu gue di sekolah sih gak terlalu banyak ya, kayak maksudnya yeah, it's true there was some party and they were like the popular kids that always go to parties, but it's not as big scene as America put it out. Kayak literally partinya tuh cuman kayak di backyard gitu, dan nggak segede Amerika yang kayak rumahnya 2 lantai gitu. Tapi at the same time, menurut gua kalau misalnya uni sih ya, I don't know, I think ekspektasinya pasti kan kayak ada frats atau ada kayak kalau mungkin kita kebanyakan nonton film gitu, jadi kayak ekspektasinya tuh ada Sigma Yula yang kayak fraternity house ya, Indonesia gue nggak tahu apa namanya, kayak grup-grup gitu, atau misalnya banyak keluar, banyak kayak party di club gitu-gitu. I think the reality is it depends on your lifestyle. I feel like what do you want to get out of the uni itself, karena kayak my friends ada juga yang living that life, kayak have the clubbing and like partying and stuff like that, dan keluar setiap Sabtu Minggu. But also I have a bunch of friends that are just like go to uni straight away for library and then go home. Ada juga yang fully like working, terus kayak uni tuh kayak on the side gitu loh, kayak kalau misalnya kerja terus kayak malamnya dia baru ngerjain uni gitu-gitu. Jadi kayak like it's so different, dan juga jujur aja mirip sih sama di Indo menurut gua ya, tapi maksudnya kayak just depends how you want it to be gitu. Kalau misalnya gue sama teman-teman Indo gua, it's similar to Indo karena kita lebih yang suka lunch, suka brunch. So we did that, and we just kind of follow what Indo are doing kind of situation. So we kind of have like our own group study, our own like library time, bubble tea run, kayak gitu. Jadi kayak realitinya kata gue sih nggak terlalu banyak beda ya sama Indo ya. Cuma paling bedanya kita ngomong bahasa Inggris daripada bahasa Indonesia gitu aja sih.
I think it's quite similar to your, I guess, initial perspective ya. Karena kan pas gue pindah ke sini, ya technically I came to Aussie 2 kali. I came to Aussie pas umur 7, jadi masih kecil, masih kayak nggak gitu tahu dunia dan nggak gitu tahu, you know, what else except like, you know, playing with my dolls and what have you. But I think the second time I came back to Australia after, jadi gue kan kelar high school di Jakarta, abis itu balik ke sini untuk uni. Nah itu baru, I guess also I remember more of it. Coming back to Australia was like, oh, what's the expectations, that kind of thing, especially since I'm starting uni in Australia when I just finished high school in Jakarta. Ya, dan walaupun high school gue di Jakarta juga pakai bahasa Inggris dan emang sekolah internasional ya, tapi kayak masih kan ada kayak, you know, Indonesian culture and you know that kind of like udah kebiasaan gitu ya. Jadi banyakan ya Asia temennya, dan banyakan ya, you know, just that kind of lifestyle I guess. Dan pas gue ke Aussie ya, kayaknya kayak lu deh, gue kayak ada kayak kepikiran, tapi juga mungkin karena uni ya, masuk ke Aussie uni gitu, uninya banyakan kan orang bule gitu ya. Gue ada kayak banyakan juga nonton film Amerikan, jadi ya oh mungkin uninya ada kayak yang lu bilang, fraternities, sororities, or just even clubs, or it's like a lot of partying, or like, you know, there's just not a lot of study, or like, you know, there's only very few studious bookworms, and tapi banyakan kultur uninya ya banyakan kultur bule gitu, jadi kayak partying and all that kind of stuff. But I guess it's quite different because I guess that is very much like an American stereotype, and we don't have fraternities and sororities here in Australia. We do have clubs though, and I guess you can really tell which club is the social party club and which club is like the more intellectual club. But when I went to the US, because I finished I did my master's degree in the US, nah itu baru kayak wow, like yes, that is exactly like what happened in the movies. Beneran kayak, you know, fraternity houses, sorority houses, and like the frat parties and everything. Like most things that you would see in the movie it exists, maybe not as extravagant as the movies, but it's there gitu.
I think the only thing that surprised me is having a bar in uni, like a tab. Itu yang bikin gue surprise sih. Jadi kayak jadi kalau misalnya di negara western I guess ada lebih banyak the culture of drinking ya. Jadi kayak kita minum bukan untuk bikin mabuk, dan kita minum nggak sampai mabuk juga, tapi kayak it's just a drink, kayak cuma minuman aja gitu. Jadi jangan dibedain ya, soalnya kalau misalnya kita nonton kayak ya kalau di Indo kan notabene lu minum untuk biar lu mabuk gitu kan. Kalau di sini tuh nggak sama sekali, justru kita nggak mau mabuk gitu, kita cuma mau minum aja. Dan jadi kita punya kayak bar gitu, kita di uni kita tuh semua uni pasti ada barnya, dan ada kayak tavern, so it's like kind of like bar with like chicken wings and burgers, and you know, just a normal thing actually. But for me at first I was like, ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think juga kan karena di Indo alcoholism is not a very, I guess, it's not respected, but it's like the concept of drinking is not necessarily like acceptable dalam secara Muslim kayaknya, like, you know, like it's like a little bit sort of not as, I guess it's not as widely accepted in the culture and the general lifestyle as compared to Australia. So I think a lot of people, when I came to Australia, they see uni as not only a place to learn, but also a place to socialize, catch up with friends, and go to the tavern, that kind of thing. So I think maybe dalam environment Asia tempat institution education kan is usually for like belajar atau you have to really work hard and study and that's it. You know, you only go there to study and then you go home, right? But with Australia, because you know, combined with their laid back culture and socializing culture, it is mainly a place to just meet up and hang out with people, but also study kind of thing. And that has its own fair share of pros and cons. I think that's the main expectations versus reality from my end. But I mean, as we go along, I think I'm sure we'll think about, you know, something else. But that was probably the biggest one for me. I think that like going from like an Asian culture where like you have to really be pressured, like you have to be pressured a bit to really excel in your academics. There's not that much pressure here. Yeah, in my opinion, I think. But it's just really up to you to be ada giat sendiri untuk kayak, you know, follow your passion and really, you know, make something out of it yourself. You don't need your parental pressures to get that up and going, you know. I don't know. That's just a bit. Anyways, but that was a really good question, I think. And I guess second to that, what's your favorite place to study while in uni?
Oh, alright. This one, right? Jadi gini, untuk yang bakal ke Perth, bakal ke University of Western Australia, that's my alma mater kalau bahasa Indonesia. That's where I went to study my degree. Jadi ini untuk kalian yang in Perth and also going there, you will know what I'm talking about. Buat yang enggak, I will try to explain as good as I can. Jadi gue punya 2 tempat yang gue suka banget kalau gue lagi belajar di uni. Kalau untuk undergrad, jadi waktu S1 gue suka banget study in Reed Old Ground Floor. Like, I know Reed has like udah direnov kan si Reed Library kan. Jadi kita ada library namanya Reed Library. Dia udah renov kan teh. Tapi I love it more when it was the old one. Kayak dulu tuh bawahnya tuh ground floor tuh kita entrance dari atas, jadi bukan dari bawah. Jadi tuh ground floornya tuh dulu tuh komputer, rows of computer, but they have a red sofa that's like the best to sleep in. Kayak sumpah empuk banget, enak banget. Gue kayak udah berulang-ulang kali tidur di situ untuk kayak tidur siang gitu loh, guys. Cuman karena gue engineering sih ya, jadi kayak it's just a bit like I don't know, like a little bit more grungy and you know like it's not as prestige but feels like home. Terus kayak karena semua tuh rata-rata anak-anak engineer tuh juga di situ, jadi kayak setiap kali gue ke bawah tuh kayak oh hi gitu loh, kayak lagi di lunch room, tapi tuh semuanya kayak geng-geng kita sendiri lah gitu, kayak kalau nggak bukan kelompok kita tapi kita kenal gitu itu siapa gitu. Jadi kita kayak cuman kayak oh hey dude, hey what's up, hey gitu, tau gak, terus sambil cari tempat yang kosong. But I really like that place cause everyone was also in engineering, jadi kayak kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan atau apa bisa nanya langsung kanan kiri, but also like it's just a easy meet up place. Terus kayak literally gue pernah stay di sana sampai kayak jam 10 gitu-gitu, bisa kayak tidur siang gitu-gitu, so that was really fun. Tapi untuk master, gua rata-rata belajar di itu ECM second floor computer room. Jadi kita punya ECM, it stands for what? Engineering something?
Engineering, computing, and mathematics.
Yeah, engineering, computing, mathematics. Building. Jadi ada ECM building di tempat di universitas kita, which is like basically engineering building, right? So di situ ada di lantai 2 tuh ada kayak literally satu ruangan isinya komputer semua, kayak berapa baris gitu, kayak 20 baris komputer, setiap baris ada kayak 5 komputer gitu. Tapi dia tuh selalu dingin, enak banget, terus kayak selalu quiet. Kadang ada kelas sih, jadi kalau ada kelas kita nggak boleh masuk, tapi kalau misalnya kelasnya nggak gitu gede kita bisa kayak masuk tapi kayak pura-pura dalam kelas padahal nggak, lu lagi belajar gitu. Tapi itu enak sih, kayak komputernya soalnya bersih juga. I mean okay, that's questionable, bersihnya questionable ya gengs. Jadi kayak gue tetap harus pakai apa, my hand sanitizer, you know, to like clean it. Tapi technically it's kind of clean, it's kind of new. Terus everything, because it's a computer class, right, so it has to be cold for the computer and stuff like that. Jadi kayak enak aja gitu vibe-nya. Dan karena kita kalau waktu di master itu kita kan selalu kita kelasnya tuh selalu di gedung itu gitu, jadi paling enak ya study di situ. Jadi kayak kita sambil lagi belajar, nanti kalau misalnya ada kelas tinggal taruh barang di situ, minta teman kita jagain gitu, nanti kitanya ke atas lagi gitu. Terus kan kayak ada PowerPoint, ada kayak buat colokan, buat ngecas gitu-gitu tuh selalu ada gitu. Dan di bawah tuh ada kayak vending machine tuh ada 3 gitu loh, and one of them is like the Asian vending machine, the one we have like milk tea, matcha latte and stuff like that. Jadi udahlah all in one gitu loh, dekat parking spot segala macam. So that was the best. Tapi now they have a new one, they have E-Zone. Man, E-Zone looks so cool. I went to E-Zone. Everything is like hella bougie and like classy now. Everything is like, it looks a little bit like smart home, but it's not really. Kayak keren aja gitu.
Yeah, because I think that the E-Zone is like I guess it stands for engineering zone or something, because it's like the new building for all the engineering related students. So it's sometimes dipakai untuk kelas beneran atau lecture beneran kan, tapi banyakan sih emang there's just so many empty rooms that students can just hire it or just book it for like study space or like event space.
But oh my god, I have like stories about E-Zone.
So many stories for another time maybe.
Like yeah, true. It's like, yeah, it was just about like how it's an engineering building, but there's so many engineering faults in
How
a sense.
ironic.
Like,
that's so funny.
Oh well, I'll try to cut that out from our editing.
But you know, those peeps who go to UWA or are familiar with UWA probably may or may not relate. Who knows? But
yeah,
that's interesting.
But
I think
what
it's
about
like,
you? Where's your place?
For me, karena pas gue lagi kuliah, gue kan tinggalnya lumayan deket sama uni ya. Jadi banyakan sih, I just went straight home to study, and also because my parents were like, ngapain lama-lama di uni? Pulang aja apa-apa gitu kan. So, banyakan sih ya gue cuman ke kampus beneran untuk ikutin lecture atau masuk ke, you know, tutoring center. Pokoknya ikutin kelas yang perlu datang lah gitu, mandatory attendance ya gitu. And then at times when I don't really need to, I go home. But obviously, like, that's mainly, I prefer it that way because most of the study spaces I find are quite crowded, or I don't book early enough so that it all gets booked out. And the thing with Reed is, as much as I love Reed, especially now because it's quite nice, and probably E-Zone, never been to E-Zone, but gue kayak kenal banyak orang gitu. It's not that I'm a beanock or anything, it's just that like the chances of you actually meeting at least one person that you know is so high. And then it's like, you know, your study actually ends up being like a chat, and then ends up being something else, and you get distracted. So for me, I was like, right, I probably should you know, actually go to a really quiet space and properly spend time and study. And at that point, it was home. But other times I would try to go to, there's like the law library, but before it got, so I know it got renovated recently, but I was there before it got renovated. So I think because it was still old and dingy, not a lot of people went there. So I went there just for it, just for that peace and quiet.
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, for me, I was the other way, because it took me 45 minutes just to get to uni, driving. Jadi, gengs, buat kalian yang di Indo, mungkin kayak, gila 45 menit tuh kayak nothing gitu loh untuk driving. No, in here, 45 minutes means like, you're going from like, I don't know, 450 kilometers or something. Like, it's so far away. It's not close. Like, 45 minutes is so far. Jadi, buat gue lebih gampang kalau misalnya gue stay di situ the whole day daripada gue bolak-balik kan. Tapi, like you're saying about the booking rooms, I remember I used to book the booth in Reed with 5 different accounts. So we have it for a full day. And I book it every single day. Jadi kayak, so that's like our group booth in a sense. Jadi kayak, we always know booth 9 is booked for us. So we just leave our stuff, keep coming back and forth, because we know that no one will gonna take it anyway, because we already booked it with 5 people. Karena satu orang cuma boleh book booth for 2 hours. So we book it for 5, like
Pinter
the
banget.
whole day, which is like 10
oh my
hours.
Gosh. Really applying that engineering mindset to good use, hey? Efficiency.
Project engineer.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting question. It's like I don't quite remember if I had like a specific favorite place to study, just because I think I just was everywhere. Like pokoknya like yang paling penting tempatnya yang sepi dan tempatnya yang quiet for me to focus. I'll just like chuck my stuff there. That's it. But yeah, I don't have like a permanent nest because I know whenever I go to read and I go to that booth, I always see you and your gang. So it's like, your signature booth. Anyways, on to the next question. So where do you guys get your inspiration for episodes? #inspo. Gimana ya?
I think kayaknya kalau ini relate lagi dengan visi kita ya, kayak maksudnya kayak the reason kita bikin podcast ini kan karena a little bit because we want to share apa yang kita udah punya sekarang untuk lebih banyak orang lagi, tapi juga to be the voice of something that might not be heard before gitu loh, kayak karena maksudnya kita like we're all like we're as Asian, we're as women in STEM, kayak banyak juga low key things that we cannot say, kayak tabu gitu, tapi kayak we actually have opinion about it gitu loh. Kita punya pandangan kita punya sesuatu yang sebenarnya kita bisa bagi gitu. Karena jujur kalau gue sama Teh, we've been friends for a while now. We've been friends for like at least 7 years, I think. Wow, we've been friends for a while, girl. Tapi kayak literally banyak banget obrolan kita itu ya untuk support each other gitu loh. Kayak misalnya Teh udah pernah terjun ke dunia kerja sebelum gua gitu, dan dia let me know gitu. Dia kayak gini man, kalau kerja tuh gini lu harus bisa balancing ini gitu lah. Jadi kayak like a little bit like a big sister kind of feels to it as well. Tapi at the same time sama gitu, kayak gua ngerjain S2 sebelum Teh ngerjain master kan, so I can tell her that like that's just how it is, and like waktu lagi kayak kita mau cari tahu untuk the next step and stuff like that comes into like what I will tell her, like what support that I can give her, like I can show her the pros and cons of continuing study or not kind of thing, Jadi kayak itu juga yang kita mau bikin podcast ini gitu kan. Jadi kayak I think a lot of the inspiration is purely from ourselves. Jadi kayak literally gue bakal message Teh and be like, Teh, let's talk about this. Teh, gue baru liat ini loh, let's talk about it, you know what I mean? Jadi biasanya itu dari feed kita atau dari kesenangan kita, kayak like our food series, right? Our Kremés table series, karena itu emang genuinely kita suka banget sama makanan gitu aja. Kayak literally we just love food. Even when we're like hanging out and stuff like that, kita juga ngomonginnya kadang tuh kayak, Teh, have you tried this new thing? Have you tried that thing? And especially karena Teh kemarin kan sempat di Amerika bentar ya. Gila, gue tuh kayak pengen ngasih tau dia banyak banget tempat baru, makan Padang lah, makan Indonesia lah, apa segala macam gitu lah, just for the fun of it, I think, yeah, so I think that's where I think we got our inspiration.
Yeah, that's true.
Either what we want to talk or our passion.
Yeah, I think the way you said it was really nice. Like, we're essentially trying to both be, I guess, the big sisters, or like just like some kind of like, I guess, an older figure, just to provide tips and advice to our fellow Australian Indos, or our fellow Indos coming to Australia for the first time, that kind of thing. Just have to, have that better understanding as they navigate through the Australian culture, that kind of thing. So I think because we went through it, there's definitely times when we thought, I wish I knew this before I experienced this. So we're kind of just there as the voice. That's what we hope to do. So I think when we first started the podcast, we were like, okay, here are a definite list of what we should talk about. This gitu, and that covers things like jokes, slang, all the Indo versus Aussie that we've done before. Those are definitely on like the list as we brainstormed. And then now that we're on our literally 17th episode, we just continually on a weekly basis brainstorm with each other, and like A said, that just message each other and be like, I got this idea. Or usually for me, I just read the news and I'd be like, this is an interesting news that could be relevant for us to talk about in like a real talk episode, or maybe like curhat episode, because it affects us in some way. So yeah, we draw experiences from our own personal moments, but also current events, current trends. I like to go on subtle Asian and subtle Indonesian traits online and sort of see what's popping and get some stuff from there. But yeah, we get inspo from everywhere, but we also get inspo from you guys who comment, suggest, give us feedback and questions to make episodes like this very episode. Case in point. All right, next question. Thinking of having guests on your show in the future? This is something that's always been kind of on my mind a little bit, because it's like, on one hand, we are anonymous, but on the other hand, it would be cool to have some guests, I guess, to kind of give a different perspective. I mean, I'm always open to it. I think so far the discussions we've had have been quite general enough that we didn't really need a specific guest person on our show to talk about their opinion on it. And we kind of just leave it to you guys to just share in the comments and stuff and DM us about what your opinions are. But who knows, because maybe in a future discussion it would be, more relevant to have a guest on. What do you think, eh?
Actually, sebenarnya kita belum pernah ngobrol tentang ini sih kayaknya ya, between me and T. Tapi kalau menurut gue sih ya itu sama kayak the aspect of us being anonymous is anonymous, right? Jadi kayak masih sedikit lebih ke I don't know, I think there's still so much that we can talk about while being anonymous before things get big and before putting a third party like a guest into it. Tapi mungkin juga exactly. It could be something that is like a series on its own, in a sense that like kalian yang minta kita untuk contact this person or that person, then we contact them to be like, hey, people actually want to hear this side of you, or like want to hear this about you. Do you want to be in our podcast, where we keep it anonymous, but it's the question that they might not be asked for. I think that's probably is the good way to do it. But this is not talking about scandal atau kayak gossip atau gimana, enggak gitu. Tapi mungkin maksudnya lebih ke they can even talk about their opinion and stuff like that, and they can talk about their actual feelings or like actual advice about particular things. That's what I think. That's what I think our first guest would probably be, karena kayak kita berdua juga kalau buat gue sih jujur aja kita masih anonymous even to our friends ya. Jadi kayak kalau gue sih pribadi, our family know and my small group of friends know, tapi they still don't know what it's about, or I don't give them the Instagram handle, I don't give them any of that gitu. Jadi kayak aku pengen kalau misalnya mereka denger pun itu karena mereka denger sendiri dan mereka bukan karena guanya gitu.
Yeah, bukannya karena kayak my friend A is part of this podcast, I'm gonna listen gitu ya.
Bener. Iya, jadi karena itu aja tuh masih lebih ke jadi kayak karena gitu aja tuh kita masih anonymous banget gitu, benar-benar anonymous, dan kayak kita mau murni share our things not because of us but because of the content kan. Then I think if the guest itself would have, like what Taya said, would have be beneficial to the content itself, then yeah, we want to do it. But we don't want it. We don't want to have to people listen to the podcast just because they want to listen so and so speaks. I don't know. That's my point of view. I don't want the person to just kind of tune in because ini si artis ini atau si speaker ini yang ngomong gitu. No, I want you to listen in because of the content and like what you actually curious on what you want to know about the discussion. I think that's for me. I don't know. Is that too much? Is that weird?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. That's definitely like took the words out of my mouth. That's definitely true. I think, we'll take it case by case. I think so far with the ideas that we're churning out for future episodes, most of it is good enough to be covered just by the two of us. Like, opini kita berdua nggak akan gimana, it's not going to be, incorrect, or it's not going to be inaccurate at all if A and I say it. But in certain cases, it might be better to get an expert or to get someone who's fully aware of the topic speak on behalf of us, because obviously, again, as big sister figures, we don't want to give you incorrect information or false information. So yeah, I think we'll definitely put that on the back burner and we'll think about it. I think that, that's a really good point. And I think these questions are really great. Just conscious of time, I think we will stop it for now. But please keep the questions coming because these are really great. And these help A and myself think about how we can improve as a podcast channel as well. But thanks banget kalian untuk listening. And we'll see you at a future episode.
Thank you for listening.
Jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe. And share it with your friends.
I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out with your comments, stories, and even questions on what we should talk about. See you in the next episode.
Bye. Dah.